we talk about Iran, I'm talking about the radical Shia clerics and not the people. The people of Iran are people of an ancient civilization, an ancient culture with tremendous pride and advances. And I don't know who take great pride in their Persian heritage and identity. And I don't know of any nation on earth in which there is a bigger difference between the people and those who govern them than what exists in Iran. And that's a fact that needs to be made repeatedly. In no way is the clerics who run that country representative of the people of that country and of its history and of contributions it's made to humanity. And it's a point I wish we would continue to.
Before we run the full clip, here's a key distinction most coverage misses. A government can survive by force even when it loses public support. This conversation breaks that down.
Mike, Elica, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, sir.
Thank you.
I thought you guys would be a great duo for today's show. We're only going to cover the Iran situation today. Obviously, there's a lot happening in America domestically with everything going on with Minneapolis and Minnesota and ICE and all that. We've still got the backdrop of the Venezuela stuff, which actually in some sense is connected to Iran. But I wanted to sort of do a little bit of what I think you guys, what your area of expertise is. Mike, you on the military side of this and the CIA operation side of what potentially could be coming. And Elica, you on the human side of what has gone on in Iran over the years. And you've had a couple of videos that have gone super viral lately. You've both been on the show before, but maybe I'll give you each just a moment to reintroduce yourselves for audience that don't know you. So Elica, maybe just a quick 30, 45 seconds on who you are and how you got involved in all of this. If you could do that, I'll give you a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of trying to... No, I'm still trying to figure that out myself because it all seems just so accidental. So I'm from Iran. My parents are from Iran. I was born and raised in London. I moved to the States to become an attorney. I live here now as an attorney. I sort of started speaking up for Iran when these protests and uprisings started to happen a few years ago. And then since then, I've just sort of become deeply involved in the conversation about the Middle East, especially because of how much distortion there is around the facts, around the context. And I just think that right now, more than ever, people need to understand the Middle East through a non-Western lens, which is often how they're looking at it. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
Yeah, and you've had a couple videos, we played one of them earlier in the week, that have gone mega viral, just explaining the disconnect between the...
This is the framing error that keeps repeating, confusing a government with the people that live under it.
The people of Iran and the ruling party of Iran. Mm-hmm. Mike, I know my audience is well familiar with you, but if you want to do a quick Mike Baker bio, we can do that and then we'll dive in.
Sure. I like long walks on the beach and quiet nights at home. Yeah, I know, 20 years.
Do you like cats?
Yeah, you know what? I've got young kids and they always bring home strays. We have 3 cats currently. People are making notes now. But no, about 20 years with the CIA and operations side of things, all of it overseas. Got out. I've got a business, CEO of a company called Portman Square Group, which is an intelligence and investigations and due diligence firm. And of course, host of the President's Daily Brief podcast, which, look at me marketing all these things.
Wow, very professional. All right, well, let's dive in. I thought this video of Marco Rubio from January of last year during a Senate hearing, I thought this would be a nice way to kick us off. Take a look.
2 points I want to make about Iran, and it's really important to make.
All right, Elica, I think you can see with that. There's a reason that I wanted to start with that clip. You were nodding along. Can you explain a little bit more? Can you dive in a little bit deeper on that? Because I think the average person who's watching the protests or seeing stuff on CNN, they just simply don't understand the ethnic makeup and obviously the history of the country.
Yeah, I mean, look, as far as the percentage of people who are against the regime in Iran, it's at a steady 85%.
Whether you accept that exact number or not, the principle is the same. Force can exist without consent.
And we know this because we've had consistent polling throughout, the past several decades that reveal that the great majority of the people are against the regime. And I think the conversation is just such almost an absurd conversation to have, because on what planet, on what universe could you ever assume that any people, much less the Iranian people, who are very pro sort of these values of freedom, would be happily subjugated by a terrorist or authoritarian regime? And this is where the conversation just goes into the territory of absurd propaganda. I mean, imagine saying that, during Stalin's rule, the majority of Russians were pro-Stalin. How can you be pro a dictatorship that is massacring you en masse, that is robbing all of your rights, all of your freedoms? And if you remember, I mean, you don't remember because we weren't alive, but during that time, the same media, the same New York Times reporters were going there and saying that, you know, Stalin was a great guy and there was no famine and none of this stuff was happening. And the Russians were huge fans of Stalin. And we've seen this cycle over and over again. It is just to be basically assumed that if there is a terrorist organization that is ruling a nation, a dictatorship, an authoritarian regime that robs you of your rights and freedoms, the people of Iran, the people of any such nation are against them. And I think even the assumption, we've seen a lot of people saying this online now, going on Piers Morgan and all of these shows, saying most Iranian people are pro-regime. You have to have the most bigoted assumption of any people to believe that they are so savage, that they are such barbarians, that they enjoy being murdered for some type of upholding some type of ideological extremism. That is the underlying assumption. So that's all to say that I could sit here going back and forth endlessly about polls, about evidence, about how many people are out in the streets, but it's such an obvious thing to believe that it just doesn't even bear explaining.
Subscribe for clear analysis without slogans and comment below. Do you think the media confusion is accidental or intentional?